Hi everybody, your resident Gemini, Maria Rieger here again with another video on positive parenting. Today we're talking about how to connect with your kids using video games, specifically by playing video games with your kids. Before we get into it, hit like on this video, hit subscribe to this channel for more positive parenting tips and more parenting tips based on your child's birth chart and zodiac sign, including their sun sign and moon sign. A few months ago, I did a video on how to read a birth chart, just the basics of how to read a birth chart. So you can go back and look at that. And I also did a video a couple of weeks ago on an introduction to the ideas behind positive parenting. So if you haven't looked at that, I encourage you to go check that out too. Okay, so how to connect with your kids using video games. Specifically, this is for boy moms, because boys overwhelmingly more than girls like video games. However, there are a lot of girls, including yours truly, who really enjoy playing video games regularly. So if your kid, whether boy or girl, enjoys playing video games, then this video is for you. Okay, so we talked about in that introduction to positive parenting video about the kind of the main idea behind positive parenting, which is that you're forming close, strong relationships with your children where there's mutual trust, mutual respect, and from that relationship, because of that relationship, your kids naturally want to cooperate more with you and you have a overall more peaceful household. Remember that children always want to naturally cooperate with parents. A lot of troubles arise when the kids don't feel validated. The kids feel that that what's important to the kids is not important to the parents. The kids don't feel heard. And a lot of kind of behavioral issues, not all behavioral issues, obviously, but a lot of behavioral issues of what parents refer to as talking back and disrespect stem from that. So you want to be careful to always be receptive to your child when he or she wants to talk to you and form a close relationship with your child. And it's largely done by forming many positive moments of positive connection with your children. So parents always ask me, how do you form this, especially new parents, how do you form this close relationship? Well, a couple of the ways that we talked about in that introduction to positive parenting video is one, when your child comes to talk to you about something, do not emotionally overreact. Just listen, make them feel heard, make sure they feel validated. Don't emotionally overreact by raising your voice or questioning their actions or dramatically sighing or things like that. Because when you don't emotionally overreact and you are calm when they're talking to you about things, including when they're talking to you about something bad or something bad that they did, when you calmly listen to them, that encourages them to continue to talk to you in the future about anything that happens to them and that's going on in their world. And you always want your kids to feel like they can come talk to you about anything. That's one. Secondly, you want to spend a lot of one-on-one time with your children in a pressure-free way. Not times when you're telling them what to do, you're dictating things to them, or you're telling them what the rules are, or blah, blah, blah. When you're kind of occupying the same space, or such as just kind of watching TV, or each reading your own book in the room together, especially at night, it's a very good thing to do, or you're doing a really fun activity together, okay? And another way you can form a very close relationship with your children is by taking an interest in things they are interested in. Playing video games with your kids does two of those things we just talked about. You are taking an interest in something your kids are interested in, and you are spending quality one-on-one time with them doing a fun activity. Not doing a useful activity or a practical activity, doing something fun just for the heck of it, okay? And kids love that. They love it when the parents spend time with them and focus on the child, and they love it when parents show an interest in things that they like. So a few years ago, I saw a magic show, and one of the professional magicians, this gentleman in his 50s, he said that he got into magic the backwards way. That's what he said. He said that as an adult, his kid got into magic, and that the father saw what the kid was doing and said, that looks really interesting. Can I try it with you? And the father started doing magic too, and the father became a professional magician that is now paid to perform and that performs at national shows. So that was most likely a very good way for him to bond with his son. He took interest in something the son liked, they did it together, and they both got better at it. That's fantastic. A lot of my son's friends, and my son is almost 11, a lot of his friends have expressed to me that they wish their parents played video games with them or played more video games with them, that they would really like to, the idea is that they would really like to share that kind of positive thing that they like with the parents. So just bear that in mind. I know you're probably thinking, my kids don't need more screen time. But when you take an interest in the video games and you play with them, it's easier to tell them, to get them to take frequent breaks, right? Because you're doing it with them. And you can kind of use some carrots and sticks, right? To say, we have to hurry up and finish our chores so we can get to play video games, right? If you frame it like that, as opposed to, you can't play video games because you haven't done your chores yet. If you frame it more positively, as opposed as vis-a-vis what they get to do, then the fun thing that they get to do when they've done what they're supposed to do, they'll be more willing to do the chores that you want them to do. Okay, so one more thing. I talked to an adult man a little while ago about kind of parenting and doing things with your kids, and he said that his best memories from his childhood were when he taught his mother to play video games. So that's something to think about, okay? So, why else is it good to play video games with your sons and daughters? Boys especially bond through competition. So video games are a way you can kind of compete with them, right? Or be on the same team and work toward common goals. And that works with sports, if you play sports with your kids, especially boys. If you do board games, card games, all those kind of competition-driven activities serve to bond you with your kids, especially boys. Boys tend to bond more so than girls through competition. And that works for adult men too. Men too bond through competition, just as an aside. So with video games, you're working toward a common goal, a common objective. You're working as a team. And as I've said in other videos, especially when we're talking about motivating your kids to do chores, the family is a team. You're working together to help the team. So playing video games together, working together as a team to achieve common goals, joint objectives, that reinforces the whole idea of the family working together as a team. It is not an antagonistic adversarial relationship. You're a team, right? Okay. So what else? It is okay if you are bad at playing video games. I know a lot of moms I've talked to that say, I like to play with my kids. They love to play with me, but I'm so bad at them. That's okay. It's not about how good you are playing the video game. Kids love to teach their parents. Let your kids teach you. And kids, it makes them feel, when kids get to teach you, the adult, it makes them feel important. It kind of fills their power bucket, if you will, especially older kids who are starting to exert their independence. They need to feel more independent. It makes them feel good to kind of be in charge and teach you things. My son has taught me a lot of techniques and different games, and I've used them and even explained to other people, yeah, he taught me this. It's a cool trick, right? So, and also letting your kid teach you how to play, it also helps him to learn how to teach people, how to communicate, how to interact with other people, things like that. How to be patient, that's a big thing. I'm always telling my son, I just do not have the reflexes that you and your friends do, because you guys are a lot younger than me. I just don't have the reflexes. I'm trying my best, but I'm older and I just don't have my eyesight isn't as good, my reflexes aren't as good. And when you're honest about that, kind of they understand that and said, okay, don't worry about it. So don't worry about your skill level or lack thereof when you're playing. That's not what's important here. Okay, so, and remember, kind of on the vein we're talking about kids teaching the parents, remember that you can learn from kids. Adults can learn from kids. Just because they're younger than you doesn't mean they don't have anything to teach you. Just keep that in mind. What else? So I game pretty regularly. I game several times a week, sometimes every day, it just depends. And one of the things I like about gaming, and this may or may not be true for your child, is it helps me focus. I have a lot of anxiety. I'm a Gemini, kind of comes with the territory. It's an air sign. We're always kind of flittering about like butterflies, right? Our very short attention span. So my thoughts are usually scattered. But when I'm playing a game, especially a video game, I'm forced to focus on what I'm doing, and I'm only concentrating on the game. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about what to make for dinner or what I have to do tomorrow or the next bill that's due. I'm only focusing on the game. Anything that requires extreme focus clears the mind. So that may be a reason why your kids like to do video games. There are, of course, other reasons, and we can talk at length about how video game manufacturers are making video games more and more addictive. And I address that exact topic in my book that's coming out on Gemini children. But it also helps to clear the mind. It also makes you focus. So if your kid is having worries or anxious thoughts, that may be something that draws him or her to the video games, is that it's helping them forget about those anxieties and focus. So remember that. And kids can learn things from video games. My son learned to read map coordinates from playing Fortnite. So they can teach you things. It also, when you're playing with your friends or your parents on a team, you are forced to communicate about positions and strategies and other things. So if you listen to kids play together, they are communicating to each other. And I've told my son, you said this to me, but I didn't understand what you said. You said it's here, but I don't know what here is. North, south, east, west, northwest, behind this building, behind the yellow building. You have to tell me exactly, as precisely as you can, the location you're talking about. So it does force them to be more specific and precise when they're communicating, which is a good skill. So think about that. What else? Oh, this is something interesting. My kid told me that he noticed that when he was over emotional and too worked up when he was playing a video game, he performed poorly. He told me, quote, "The key to this game, to doing well at this game, is to relax." I said, that's true. If you're too worked up, you're too emotional, and you're just not going to perform, you're not going to concentrate as well, and you're not going to perform as well as you want. That's just a fact. You have to take frequent breaks. I wrote this blog post recently on a book on productivity that I read, and one of the main ideas the author had for being more productive is that you work intensely for 45 minutes, and then you take a 5 to 10 minute break, and then you work for another 45 minutes, and then you take another 5 to 10 minute break, right? For like 6 to 8 hours a day. So I told my son that you have to take breaks. There's a law of diminishing returns that happens when the human mind is concentrating on things. And if you remember from when you were in, school, you probably remember if you studied too long, you just were not retaining information or you were not understanding what you were reading. So you have to take breaks if you want to continue to perform at an optimum level. So you can use video games to teach your kids all these things about life. Video games also are about, getting back up again after you fail. You try again, right? You take breaks, you come back to it, and you try again. You try different things, different techniques. So remember all those things. And you can use the video game as a springboard to teach your kid about these life lessons, these practical life lessons. Another practical reason why it's a good idea to actively play games, video games with your kids, is that it gives you a chance to listen to your kid interact with his friends. Sometimes your kids play online with strangers. I obviously would recommend they only play with people they know, but it gives you a chance to listen to the kids and kind of see what's going on and keep an eye on your kid and his online activity, right? His or her online activity. So you want to make sure that you're not paranoid about that, and you're not like snooping, so your kid thinks you're snooping and putting listening devices. But if you're part of the game, part of the team with him or them and their friends, then you're privy to their communicating, right? So you're seeing what's going on in that whole game world. You're seeing how it operates. You can determine whether or not you're comfortable with that particular game, right? So very important as a parent to monitor online activity. So for all those reasons, it is a good idea to once in a while, more often than not, just put the chores aside, put your routine aside. I know it's hard to do that, and sit down and play a game with your kids and see what's going on with the game. Have them, if you don't understand something, have them teach it to you. Again, they love to teach their parents, and I think your kids will really enjoy the fact that you are playing with them, doing an activity with them, a fun activity, and taking an interest in something that they like. And by all means, ask them questions about the game because that shows that you have an interest, right? So again, if your kids are not into video games, this goes for any type of activity they like. Board games, card games, reading. There have been times that my kid was reading some book for school and then I would read it too. And we would comment and talk about the book. So that's another way you can bond. You read the same books, read the same magazines, watch the same TV shows, do any activity your kids like to do. If it's magic or drawing or things like that. I took a drawing class with my son. We've done painting classes. Anything they show an interest in, you can show an interest in too. So it's not just video games, although since most boys especially are into video games, that's definitely an area that you can participate in. So I encourage you to do that. I grew up on the old school video games with the Nintendo 64. We got an old console and I showed my son the old games we used to play like Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers, and he got into that. That's something cool too. You can show them something from your childhood, right? So for all those reasons, it's a good idea to play video games with your kids. Go relax, have fun, laugh at yourself. You'll be laughing at yourself, or you'll be upset with your performance, either way. But those are all very, very good ways to bond with your kids. So that's all we wanted to cover for today. I'll be back soon with another video. And my book, the buy links for my book on Scorpio children are in the comments to this video. My links for my upcoming book on Gemini children are also in the comments, so make sure to grab a copy. By the way, my book on Gemini children is on sale now on pre-order at Amazon and Barnes & Noble for 99 cents. That price won't last, so get it now. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.